Hey guys, I got called out of class real suddenly, so I won't be able to lead you through all your shooting today. Our main goal is just to get a lot of pictures so that we can get into Lightroom and learn how to sort and edit and all that kind of stuff. So just a real quick refresher, this is something you can keep on your phones, just find the link on YouTube. If you're shooting with one of these Canon T6s, things you need to know. So manual mode, always shoot in manual mode. If you can set your image quality to RAW, that's better. Don't worry about that today. We'll go over that again later. I don't have a battery for this camera because I just stole it from the lab. So buttons that you actually do care about. ISO, white balance, autofocus, AV. This little dial right here is your shutter speed. To the left, slows down your shutter. To the right, speeds up your shutter. The faster the shutter is, the less light gets in, but the more likely it is to freeze motion. Slower the shutter is, more light gets in, but more motion blur. You hold down AV and do the dial. AV here, dial here. Then you're changing the aperture. The bigger the aperture is, the more light gets in, the shallower the depth of field. The smaller the aperture, the less light gets in, the more focus goes in and out. The smaller the number, the bigger the aperture. So f1.8 is a much wider aperture than f16. Hit the ISO button to change your ISO. That's the sensitivity. It ranges from like 100 or 200 to like 6400 or so. Generally, as long as you're within that, like less than 1600, you're gonna get pretty decent image quality. 400 is probably a nice sweet spot for today. Although if you're using, you might need to punch it up to as high as 1600. White balance. When you hit that, you get a bunch of options. The only two that you ever really care about are daylight and automatic. If you're going to be shooting with primarily window light, set it to daylight. If the light is mostly coming from overhead lights, these fluorescents up here, set it to automatic. That's because fluorescent will actually kind of fluctuate. So sometimes it's more green, sometimes it's more purple. It's kind of a pain. Auto won't be perfect, but you can get pretty close and then you can fix it in post. Anything else we need to worry about? Oh yeah, autofocus. In general, you want to focus and recompose. So you pick the center focus point, or whichever focus point you want. You point at your subject, hold the shooting button, this guy down halfway till it beeps. So you've got whatever your focus point is that you're using, let's say it's the middle one. Let's say you're gonna do a portrait of a person's eye, or a person's face. You want the eyes always to be in focus. You point the center focus point at the eye, hold it down halfway till it goes beep, and then without moving in or out, because that's gonna change your focus, but holding your same position, you get the beep, and then you can recompose by kind of moving the camera around like that until you get the composition that you want. Then you fire off. The first beep locks the focus, and then your recomposing gets you the picture that you want. So those are the main things you have to kind of worry about as you're shooting. Hopefully that helps. Sorry I wasn't there. I promise I'll be more hands-on as we go. This week's a little weird.